We'll begin this morning's highlights of the papers with the Blueprint newspaper. Autonomy. Loot LG Treasury, go to jail. AGF tells council bosses. Ozekome cautions judges against partying with politicians. Avoid sensationalism, CJN tells media. The details on the inside pages. New Telegraph. Electoral reforms. INEC to accept computer slip for accreditation on election day. Details on page 3 says, with BVAS, exclusive use of voter cards as means of identification should be reviewed. Proposes early voting for poll workers. The details you'll find on the inside pages. Daily Trust newspaper. INEC seeks legal backing for IREV. Proposes use of computer-generated slips for voter accreditation. Check the details right there. The Daily Times newspaper has NEC. Kaduna Governor Uba Sani pushes for state police as 36 states submit proposals. The Vanguard newspaper. 2026 World Cup qualification. Amounting too high for Super Eagles? It's a big question. My worst fears remain players' attitude, according to Udeze. Standard for inviting players now lowered, says Unazi. Coaches shouldn't neglect home-based players, according to Wosu. NFF encourages indiscipline in Eagles camp, as coming from Eyama. Toro Akoni want Wavon to continue. The details of that you'll find in the Vanguard newspaper today. The Guardian newspaper has more men losing prostate cancer fight to hefty costs, late detection. And all of the infographics on the inside pages are pointers. At least 49 cases of prostate cancer recorded daily. Oh gosh. Look at the front page of Daily Independent newspaper. Senate asks Wike to stop further demolitions in FCT. Moves to probe allegations of land grabbing, other petitions. Wike blows hot, says he won't be swayed by blackmail. Details you'll find continue on the inside pages of the paper today. Business Day newspaper. eFirms transparency fuels naira demand in parallel market. Analysts say black market needs to be sanitized. Meaning of that you'll find on the inside pages of the paper today. Nigerian Tribune has LP woes worsen as another rep joins APC. That's on page 12 of the paper. Tinubu leadership crisis cited. Party heads to court, seeks to declare lawmakers' seats vacant. From 8 senators, party now has 6. Reps LP caucus demands constitution amendments to halt detection. Wants constituents to recall defectors. The details you'll find on the inside pages. This Nigeria, how degraded oil theft, illegal mining activities in Niger Delta. JTF embarks on 90-day intensified battle against criminal elements, deactivates 1,546 sites, destroys 1,424 storage facilities, 1,121 wooden boats. The details of that story you'll find on the inside pages of this Nigerian newspaper this morning. These are the papers we have for you today.
The headlines on the front pages of the dailies this morning, as varied as their names. If you take a look at what we are saying on the different dailies, I mean, it will depend on what precisely is catching your fancy. Well, I'm going to look at a paper. Well, this time around, let's call it Women Supporting Women, because the headline on the front page... A headline on the front page of Daily Independent, you know, we saw the process by which that came about yesterday on the floor of the Senate. Senate asks Wike to stop further demolitions in the Federal Capital Territory. Yesterday, the minister himself was also responding to some of these allegations that he could be involved in land grabbing. He was very upset about it and was also responding in one of the events in which he was commissioning, giving out vehicles, security vehicles to the different security agencies in the FCT. But that did not stop. While the minister was doing his, the senator representing the Federal Capital Territory, Senator Iriti Kingibe, tried to raise, not that she tried, she did raise this motion eventually on the floor of the Senate. It's unclear just what had happened. I think it did seem like she was not going to be recognized, and while she was trying to get her voice heard, you know, there was a, let's say, misunderstanding. It wasn't very, very clear. But what we saw later as a protest on her part was to walk out. She walked out from the Senate chambers yesterday, and I think a number of her colleagues went to the Senate president, approached the Senate president, and I think there was some mediation which saw her return to the chambers. She was asked to apologize. Initially, she said she wasn't going to apologize, but later on changed her mind and apologized and was able to move this motion, which produced this result. You know, sometimes you have to set aside personal ego and, you know, your personal bruise and, you know, try to see how you can get the job done. And I think that in the Senate of today, a lot of women have held, you know, I remember interviewing a guest and I asked him if women have been holding the short end of the stick. He said, women are not even touching the stick at all. So I kind of think that that's basically the situation, you know, in the Senate today, considering just how few they are. About 5 women among 109 senators. In some instances, it can appear quite difficult for them to get their voices heard. Kudos to the men who tried to mediate to make sure that she was able to move this bill. It's no news that, you know, it's been very difficult for her to work with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. It's really such a shame, you know, that for whatever reason, you know, they have not been able to reach a truce. It's a shame on the minister's part. I don't know whether to say it's a shame on her part, because she has really tried, from what I can see. It's unclear why it has been very difficult for her to work with the minister. But this is what we see. We see it could also be political because she's of the Labour Party, and we see very clearly that the former senator representing the Federal Capital Territory has been playing a very prominent role in the commissionings that the minister has been doing. So, and in this instance, when she moved the motion, the first person to support her was another woman, Senator Natasha Akpoti. So in this particular regard, I'm sure that, of course, a lot of men had to also support before she could, you know, before this was now a motion moved by the Senate, making the front pages on the dailies this morning. It's just to highlight the background work, you know, that it takes when somebody is in the minority as a woman, minority as a political party, you know, to get your voices heard. But I think that Senator Ireti should not give up. You know, she should be encouraged. However little it is that her efforts are, she should continue to do the work. And who knows, now this has been passed, that the FCTA should hold on with demolitions while the Senate takes a look at some of the grounds upon which this, I mean, we know the latest controversial one that has now come up with Mrs. Paul Osa. And, you know, the minister saying that that is not the situation, is that they do not have the requisite papers. But there'll be questions as to, is it that, you know, people who have been given papers long ago, I mean, of course, if they are distorting what was supposed to be the original master plan, say a drainage, a road, a school, a hospital was, you know, supposed to be built where they were given land, of course, by all means. But will it be right for us to take away land if these people are willing to pay whatever dues they're supposed to pay to get back that? You know, those are the questions that will come up. And I think that the minister, thankfully, is one that has never shied away from questions, Chamberlain. So I believe that today, which coincidentally is his birthday, who knows, happy birthday to you, Honorable Minister. I believe that he will also be willing to take, you know, the opportunity to answer some of these questions whenever it is that he does his minister's talk. What do they call that conversation now? Minister's chat. He holds that frequently, at least in the FCT. So let us hope that these are things that he will not shy away from, and also, as a Senate of the country, is also willing to take a look at it.
Well, you know what is in politics. Minority will have their say, majority will have their way.
Oh, minority had their way today.
Well,
minority had their way today.
No, it remains to be seen. That's not tantamount to having your way. So if you're asking, okay, let's just hold on.
That's what they requested.
See what happens. So holding on doesn't mean it gives people the leverage to go and say, okay, I can flout the laws. No, they're two different things.
Certainly not.
So the thing is this: if people have flouted the rules and the laws, there's a lot of nothing. If they want to apply the law is not emotional about it. However, if they're then asking, okay, look, can there be a human face in the application of some of these laws? Yes, that can be. Because this is the same country where we are all asking that no one should be bigger than the law, no matter how highly placed or how little. So if we see certain things, of course you have to call them all out and ensure that things are done according to the law. Not that some politicians will then take an advantage because they have the levers of state and appropriate it to benefit themselves, or maybe when it comes to those kind of scenarios usually abound. But I guess we'll wait and see how all of this eventually play out. But speaking about how all of these politicians emerge, guys, INEC, I know some of you are just wondering, what's again with INEC? Well, look at the front page of Daily Trust. They are talking about if they want to make some changes. Some are saying that part of that recommendation is they're suggesting that they're planning computer-generated slips for future polls. I know.
INEC.
So the proper word of this is, in spite of all the changes that was made for the last elections that got a lot of people interested, what did we have?
They're seeking legal backing for IREV. Would that be the game changer?
Well, I'll wait until the time so that I don't dissipate energy. That was done the last time. So much energy, only for us to get
there was no legal backing.
What we got at the last time. Even if there was no legal backing, there were things they could have done that didn't require legal backing. Logistics doesn't require legal backing. Uploading certain things doesn't require. There are several simple things. It doesn't require legal backing. But we'll wait and see. Ayo.
This front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, at the bottom of the page is a story I consider concerning, particularly in the light of what you talked about, Wike demolitions, and it's also happening in Abuja. At the bottom of the page, right under that story in inverted black, our children pass through hell to access education. And that's coming from a community in Abuja. And guess which community it is? It is a community called the Kuchibui community in the Buhari area, in the Buhari Area Council of the FCT. And they have alleged negligence by the FCT administration and the Buhari Area Council government of their plight, to their plight. And I'm wondering, I just want to hope that there is someone that is aware. In fact, some of them say that those who used to pay transport to go to school can no longer afford that now as a result of higher cost of transportation. And of course, naturally, the call is on the Minister of the FCT to do something to help them. With a road, people can go to places like Kubwa or even Buhari and all of that. It's right there on the front page of the paper, and the details you'll find on the inside pages. I hope someone is listening, because if we are saying that children are the future of the nation, education is the path there. So instead of those demolitions, can we convert some of them into schools? I'm just thinking. I don't know. But that's my take this morning, and that's the much of the papers we are looking at today. When we return, let's see how many of them we can chew on.